Alright, so in this section we're talking about how to add and subtract decimals and numbers that have decimals in them and why it's important to know. So first of all, what is a decimal? And you need to copy this down into your notebook just as a reference because it will be on the vocabulary quiz. A decimal is a number with one or more places to the right of the decimal point. So for example, 3.4. The 4 will be considered a decimal. So when you're solving problems with decimals, you can use what you know about adding whole numbers to adding decimals. Again, you want to make sure this is in your Cornell notes. Step 1 is to write the addition in a column using the decimal point to align the ones. So say we were to have a problem turn my mic back on. Much better. Okay, so say you were to have the problem, let's see. If we were to do 15.09, and then we were to add 0.741. Okay? What step 1 is basically saying is that when you are adding these together, go ahead and make sure your decimal points are aligned. So 15.09 for your decimal point for your 0.741 needs to be right in line with the other decimal point. You'll see how these are aligned. 741. Okay? And you do that every single time when you're adding numbers with decimals. The decimal point needs to stay in line. If you don't, you'll get a completely different number. Alright, so if you were to add these numbers together, what's step 1? Step 2. Write zeros if needed so that the decimals have the same number of decimal place values to add. So if you have an extra number like we have here, you want to put a decimal in the place behind the 9. Okay, and the decimal will be 0. If you put a 0 there, it's kind of like a placeholder. It reminds you, okay, there is a number there, we just don't know what it is. So put a 0 there for now, because what we have is just 1509. Okay? Step 3. Add from the right to the left as you would add your whole numbers, regrouping place values amounts as needed. And you can stop there on step 3. I don't care if you have the rest of it. But let's go ahead and add these together. I'm going to use green because I'm feeling festive. Alright, well, we're going to go from right to left. We know that if we have 0, we cannot subtract 1 from that using this method. So we're going to go ahead and borrow a 10 from the 9. Turning it into an 8. And turn the 0 into a 10. Alright, 10 minus 1, 9. 8 minus 4 is 4. 0 minus 7, again, we cannot do that. So we're going to go to the 5 on the other side of the decimal point and take 1 from that. Bring it back over to the 0 and turn it into a 10, so you took a 10. Alright, 10 minus 7 is 3. Well, alright, so the last step is to bring your decimal points where they were. So the decimal place does not move. It stays in line. Okay, there's 1 here, 1 there, and 1 down here. They stay in line. So now we have 4 minus 0, which is 4. And then 1 minus nothing is still 1. So if you were to take 0.741 from 15.09, your answer is going to be 14.349. And if you want to pause the video now so that way you can go ahead and finish copying this down, that you may. That'd be a good idea. And go ahead and switch. We're just going to flip this page. Okay. So you can use what you know about subtracting whole numbers to subtract decimals. Again, you want to make sure that you have it set up in your notebook. Step 1 is to write the subtraction in a column using the decimal points to align the ones place and the other place values. So let's say that we were going to subtract 22.7 minus 1.53. Step 1 is basically saying, again, make sure your decimal points are aligned. So if we were to rewrite this, it needs to be written like 22.7 minus 1.53. Okay? Again, make sure your decimals are aligned, otherwise you'll get a completely crazy off number. Step 2, write zeros if needed so that the decimals have the same number of decimal place values to subtract. So since 7 does not have a number behind it for 22.7, we can add a 0 to that, and that's what we're going to say that is. All right, so let's go ahead and subtract. And of course, we're going to do step 3, subtract from the right to the left, just like we've been doing ever since we've been subtracting with more than one number. So we're going to start with the 0 and 3. If we have 0, we will not be able to subtract 3, so we need to go over to the next place value, which is the 7. This is the tenths place value. So we're going to take a 10 from 7 and turn it into a 6. Let me use red for this one. That's better. All right, and the 0 we turn into a 10 because we're bringing one of those 10s over. 10 minus 3 will give us their 7. 6 minus 5 is 1. Again, bring down your decimal place. 2 minus 1 will give us 1, and then 2 minus nothing will still give us 2. All right, so our answer for this problem will be 21.17, or 21.17. That could be said that way as well. All right, so let's move on to the examples. Okay, so if you want to copy this down, you may. Actually, I do want you to copy this down. So for the example, the 10-second barrier in the 100-meter dash was first broken in the 1968 Olympics, when the winning time was 9.95 seconds. A gym teacher ran the 100-meter dash in 14.7 seconds. How much faster was the 1968 Olympic time than the gym teacher's time? So the Olympic time was 9.95 seconds. That's pretty fast. So go ahead and put down what you see, what you know. We know, of course we're subtracting because I told you right here, but we know we're trying to find the difference between the speeds. And when you're trying to find the difference, you're going to be subtracting. Go to your larger number, which is 14.7. You want to also bring down your 9.95. Again, make sure your decimals are aligned. 9.95. Okay? Place a 0 where you think it would be necessary to kind of help you remember that you're supposed to have a number there. But it still means 0. It still means the same thing. Okay? So now we're going to subtract from right to left. 0 minus 5, well, we can't do that, so we're going to move on to the next place value, which is the tenths place value. 7 tenths minus 9 tenths. Well, we're going to bring one of the tenths from the 7 over to the 0. So we're going to take a tenth from the 7 so it turns into 6 tenths. That's green. Okay? And the 0 gets turned into a 10 because you've taken a tenth over to the 0. 10 minus 5, that will give us a remainder of 5. All right? 6 minus 9, you cannot do that. So again, you have to go over to the ones place. 4 minus the 1 will give us a 3. Then bring the 1 over to the tenths place. 16 minus 9 gives us 7. So we're looking 7. Better. Bring down your decimal points. Oh, my pen's going crazy. And then 3 minus 9, again, you can't do that, so take the 1 away, bring it to the 3. 13 minus 9, that will give us a remainder of 4. Okay, so our answer is going to be 4.75, and now it's not just 4.75, you have to specify what it's talking about. We are talking about seconds, so it's going to be 4.75 seconds. Okay, moving on. Okay, colorful lines on the board. Okay. All right, so the last question. Quality control engineers use tools called micrometers that can measure parts sizes to thousandths of an inch. The table shows measurements an engineer made. How much thicker than a tube A is tube C? Now, engineers are very specific. So Ms. Harry is down as an engineer, and that would be something that you're interested in too. So we're comparing tube A, we're going to go back to red because we already have green here, and tube C. And it's asking how much thicker than tube A is tube C. So you know you're going to use subtraction because you're going to be comparing two numbers. When you're comparing two numbers, you're trying to find the difference between the two. So we have tube A and tube C. Tube C is 0.25, tube A is 0.24. Look at the hundredths place in the decimal line, which is right here. It's the 4, and here's the 5. Since the 5 is larger, we're going to put that as our top number. So we have 0.25 minus 0.247. Okay? Again, put a 0 over the 7 just to know that you're holding a place for it. 0 minus 7, well, we can't do that, so we're going to take 1 from the 5. Back to green. This pen's all whacked. Alright, so 10 minus 7, that will give us an answer of 3. 4 minus 4, that will give us 0. 2 minus 2, another 0. Bring down your decimal points, and of course, 0 minus 0 is 0. So our answer is A. Oh my gosh, I was so smart. Alright, so what I want you to do on your own, in your notebook, again, whenever you see these lines, like these guys right here, this is when you know that you're going to need to copy it down. I know that most of this slide has the lines on it, but most of the stuff is pretty important, and you really need to remember it because it's going to be on the test. So there you go. And you also need to know how to do this stuff when you get older. So addition or subtraction, you're going to need to find each sum or difference. I want you to do this on your own and then have the teacher or, actually, yeah, I think we should have just the teacher or assistant, to check your work and see if you got the correct answer. Do not put your notebook away until somebody has checked your work. The last thing that we are going to do for today is going to be a little quick activity. So you're going to solve this problem. If you are on the left side, you're going to be doing a subtraction problem between 3.4032 and 1.57. If you are on the right side, you're going to be doing an addition problem for 6.3401 plus 5.94. If you're in this Canvas class, when you find your answer, check with your neighbor, and then there is going to be a question in Google Classroom for you to answer. If you're in Ms. Carpenter's classroom, ask your teacher what she wants you to do to show your work. I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon.